How's it going, everyone? Back again with another video for you guys. Hope everyone is having a good work day. Everyone had a very progressive day. Everyone's getting everything that they need to do done. And tomorrow is Friday, so let's knock this last day out and get ready for a great weekend. So today's video is going to be about communication. That's yet another thing important when it comes to self-improvement. It plays a vital part in how your interactions with people are going to be moving forward. It's going to affect everything from your personal life to your work life. And I believe that it is definitely something that we need to discuss moving forward as well, so that we can become better communicators. It is very important as a whole, as people as a whole, that we become more fluent in learning how to communicate with each other properly. So one of the first talking points that I have written down in regards to communication is basically just, first thing you need to learn when it comes to good communication is becoming a good listener first. In order to communicate, in order to hold discussions, in order to take criticism, it is very important to be a great listener first before anything else. Because if you are unable to listen in a conversation, then whatever points that are being made, you're not even going to bother to give them a chance at all, even if they're right or wrong. So that is definitely something that needs to be discussed. We need to be better listeners. We need to, even for example, in relationships, listening to your spouse is very important. Being able to not only listen, but hear what the other partner is saying to you and the message that they're trying to get across to you. A lot of times it is important for us, not as just spouses, but as, just regular people, to be able to take ourselves and our ego out of the conversation and actually listen and pay attention to what the other person is saying, so that we can understand. Because, the world doesn't revolve around us. That's something that that's something myself that I personally, with my girlfriend, am working with very hard. I I have a problem with being able to set my ego aside and being able to see it from a different viewpoint other than my own. And that's something that I'm trying to work on very hard. And I'll admit, it's not the easiest of things to do, but in order to, work better on communication, it's vital. It's absolutely vital in learning how to communicate better. Also, something else, another talking point that I had written down as well, is learning how to not interrupt someone when they're talking and communicating with you. That is also very, very important as well. Uh, People can't convey their messages. People can't get their thoughts across when you're interrupting them. And, to the very least, it's rude. So that's something else that needs to really be worked on when it comes to learning how to communicate better with others. There was a meeting that I was in just the other day, and the meeting went very well, but towards the end of the meeting, I noticed that as a lot of people began to form opinions, the conversation just became jumbled with people talking over each other. And a lot of the messages that were trying to be put out there just were lost in translation. And it's a shame when stuff like that happens, because there were a lot of great talking points, but they just did not come through. So that is definitely something else that we need to learn to work on, is just learning how to let other people talk without interrupting them, without feeling like you need to get your point in or get your point across. And again, that's something that myself I'm learning to work on as well. So yeah, just we have to pay attention to the small details of learning how to communicate. And again, like I said, it's not easy to do at all whatsoever, especially if someone is, if you're in the heat of the moment and something's being said that you don't agree with. It's hard to just sit there and listen to them say whatever you don't agree with. And, basically it feels like you're acknowledging that it's okay that they're saying something you don't agree with. But at the end of the day, you still, as an adult, need to be able to listen, need to be able to let them get their talking point across so that you can accurately listen to what they're saying to you. And finally, the last talking point that I had written down on this subject was, when it comes to communication, we really just need to also focus on making sure that the conversation is a progressive conversation, one that is going to continue to move things forward. When you're communicating with someone or in a group or however it may be, in whatever setting it may be, you want to have a conversation that is going to be progressive, one that can be moved forward, and that you don't want to end the conversation feeling like there was no progress made. You don't want to go through a conversation and feel like you weren't heard or they weren't heard or there's just no resolution to be had. That is very important. So as we're learning how to, communicate with each other, these talking points I feel are very, very important. And, you just got to have patience, not only with other people, but most importantly with yourself. You have to have patience. It's going to take time. And don't be afraid to let people know. Like, don't be afraid to let someone know, hey, I have a hard time communicating. It's something I'm working on, but these are the steps I'm trying to take to be a better communicator, to better communicate with you. So these are the things that I need from you. And, it just takes repetition and practice, and it'll get better over time. But if we don't ever work at being better at communicating, it's never going to get better. Everyone has this, preconceived notion that we're great communicators, and that's just not true. Even the greatest of speakers aren't great at communicating. And that's just something that we have to work diligently at performing and being better at. It's just something we have to do. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this conversation about, being better at conversating, communication, stuff like that. If you have any comments or any tips, again, please feel free to comment below on this conversation. I believe it is very important for moving forward and, for improving on ourselves. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.